David, so we're here on a Thursday night for training. I'll let you go first and break the news.
Yeah, so decided to step down at the end of the season. A really tough decision to make. I'm incredibly proud of being Mosley FC manager. It's a great club, lots of good people. I think I've assembled a really good dressing room this year, as well as a squad that we can build on and be successful with. So lots of positives around it, and who doesn't like a loud park end singing the name, for the ego. So there's a lot to a lot of things that will make me want to stay at the club. But when I've weighed things up and put things in balance, I've got a demanding job, I've got a lot going on with family, I've got a lot of other things I want to do with life, and football. Football means you make a lot of sacrifices, and I just felt I couldn't commit 100% next season, and it was the right time for me to step away.
Been a long time in football as well, so looking forward to taking a break.
Yeah, really looking forward to taking the breaks. I think people don't necessarily appreciate what happens when you're in non-league football and how it takes over your life. So I work 45, 50 hours a week. I travel with work. It's commuting to and from, but it's travel to other places. So that takes up a lot of time. And then football, it's not just being here on a training and match day. There's time in between talking to players, planning sessions, talking to the management team, talking to the board. So it's football every day. And when you're not doing something in football, you're thinking about it. And some of the difficult conversations you've got to have releasing players, not starting players. Lots that weighs heavy on your mind. So it becomes something that becomes a bit all consuming, and at the same time you're not doing things at weekends that you might want to do. So I can have holidays in six weeks in the summer. So pretty much go away in May or June and be restricted, and there are places we want to go around the world. Time we want to go to America for Christmas and Halloween and other things, and I've not been able to do that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to do some of those things that I've not been able to do, and just have that kind of responsibility and weight lifted, so I can focus on a couple of other things that are going on in my life at the moment.
Roll back the clock. 2020, June 2020, when you got the job, you were appointed with Lee Ashworth as assistant manager, brought Alex in as a coach, and I think first competitive game was St Helens at home in the FA Cup. I guess my question probably is how sort of proud are you in terms of it? People probably don't know what happened behind the scenes at the time, but you inherited a club that was struggling financially, had to make some cuts. The board had difficult decisions to make, and you took the job on with Lee, and ran a football team on a shoestring budget essentially. And it's probably not got that much better over time, to be fair, but to see the progression that you've made and sort of the way that the club sits in the league most seasons at the moment, and the work you've done, that must be quite proud to look back on that.
Yeah, hugely proud. I came in with I think I got the job for the ability to run a team without a budget previously, therefore being able to run something with a small budget, being able to put a competitive team together was part of the pitch. It was also around bringing something more to the club and bringing something broader to the club, and I think we've achieved a lot over the last 5 years in terms of togetherness of the fans and the squad. I think we've built some really good foundations there. And last season aside, which was disappointing and resulted in a bit of a clear out and a bit of a change of personnel, every season has seen us kind of perform and grow and do better and try and lay those foundations that we can to try and kick on to the next level. I've always been very keen that we don't stand still as a club. I think if you stand still, you go backwards. And during the 5 years, we certainly haven't stood still. We've moved forward, and I'm confident I'm leaving the club in a better position than when I came into it. And that was what I also said I'd do. So I'm pleased to have delivered on that promise.
You've worked with some really good players over the time, but you've brought in players of talent. I remember Mason Fawn scoring here in your first season for Ramsbottom and giving the shush to everybody in the crowd or the bench, whichever one it was. But he came in and obviously was a well-known player locally as a very good player, and proved himself to be that here, and still is, and is written into the folklore of the club really as a modern-day player. But you've brought in a lot of players who've come from, I wouldn't say nothing, but have come from the lower leagues, and you've pushed them on and they've moved up, and it's quite an impressive record to say players like Devon, Deck, we've got a host of them, but we've also got players that you've brought in like Jordan Butterworth and players who've gone on and done good things and are still holding their own in a competitive league.
Yeah, I think there's a good number of players who are brought from the counties and who are playing at this level and high. I mean, you talk about Deck, I inherited Deck, but Devon was a player. I had Chadderton, Freddie Sass, a player who came in. you know, from kind of bobbing around, hadn't really succeeded at Staley Bridge, and I wasn't really enjoying it on the other side of the Pennines, and has kicked on and gone full time. Obviously we've got Bailey with us now, who's you know, was rescued from Chadderton Reserves, you know, and came in here, and for me he's the best midfielder in our league at the moment. But then you say we've got people like JB, Ryan Shenton, players who've come in and proven that they're good enough and have stayed at this level, and I think all of them will look back fondly at the time at Mossley as well, because it, you know, I think I get a lot right as a manager. I think the people I've had around me in terms of Alex and Lee, Phil this season, Johnny, I think we've always had good people around us who've delivered, you know, delivered good sessions, engaged with the players, and the fans there are great, and players like that. Players love playing in front of passionate fans that we've got.
You talk about backing of the coaching staff, and the coaching staff all 3 times here have been brilliant. All of them, the ones that have gone and the ones that are still here. You've probably been quite privileged as well. I'm putting words in your mouth probably, but to have worked with two really good captains as well, in terms of, well, again, similar to Mason, have written themselves into the sort of folklore as modern day legends. So I guess having Keogh at first as that transition, and then Mark Lees now, must be a nice thing to have as a manager.
Yeah, it's it doesn't have to make your life easier if you've got a good captain. You know, stepping up to this level, I had a bit of a playing career behind me, but it was a long time in the past, and actually trying to get the respect to the dressing rooms isn't always easy. And if you've got a good captain, somebody who buys into what you're trying to do, that massively helps. And Keogh was that. Keogh did all of that. As you say, club legend, got what it was like to have managed as well. I mean, done taking the caretaker role previously, knew what a difficult job it was. But in terms of everything he did around the place, his interaction with the players, the board, the fans, he's leading by example. He epitomised what a non-league captain is all about. And then we've been so fortunate we've been able to transition from that into Mark Lees, who is almost the same. You know, local player, gets the club, absolute gentleman off and on the pitch as Andy is, and that it just gives you a different perspective, a different way of kind of dealing with the dressing room. You know, you don't have to worry about that because it's being dealt with, and it makes such a difference. Having the right coaching staff, having the right captain, having the right personalities around makes your life as a manager so much easier. Not easy enough, which is why I want to take a break, why I'm stepping away, why I need to have some time out of the game. But it certainly makes your life a lot easier.
5 years, however many seasons, because there's a half season in there. I think your first one was a very short season. There's loads of highlights to pick out. I mean, I can pick a few highlights out, but I'm not going to straight away. But I guess, what are the games that stick out for you that you sort of will stay with you forever as those moments that you've had here?
There were quite a lot actually, and a lot of them are away. But one that springs to mind is Ramsbourne here, where we nobody gave us a chance.
Yeah.
You know, nobody gave us a chance in that game, and we went and won the game, and you watch the highlights, loads of Jez racing on the wing, and it's that sticks in the mind. Hyde away, Bamber away, Whitby away, all cup games, Linux away a couple of times. So they've been a lot. I mean, Staley Bridge Celtic at home, with the quality of the goals and the crowd behind the goal. You know, it's probably at some point I will sit down and kind of think through with a little bit more clarity around what we've achieved and some of those highlights. And beauty is now we've got all that online, so I can look back at it like not when I played, and I've got a couple of programs to honestly, well, as a decent player looks.
Yeah, definitely. Celtic at home was a great day, and it's probably, you couldn't have asked for a better fixture to sort of see your last home game at the club. Will be Celtic at home here, second to last game of the season. I mean, from your point of view, being a previous Celtic player as well, and being part of that treble team, that must be like the perfect scenario for you to finish off at home here against that, in what will be a big game with a bumper crowd.
Yeah, a big crowd. I think there'll be something riding on it. I think one of us, I expect, will still have a chance of getting into the playoffs at that stage. I think we've left ourselves a hell of a hill to climb, but it's still not impossible. Whereas I think Celtic have got themselves right on the cusp of it, so I would expect at least they're still in with a shout. And ex-player there, look, from Staley Bridge, still, I don't care, I want to go and win that game, I want to sign off in style. And you're right, there'll be a really good crowd here. It'll be a great way to end, especially if we can pick up the 3 points.
Definitely. I guess, you know, we've touched on that. There's a lot of players that you've worked with, but without giving you an impossible question to answer, but who have been the best players that you've had the chance? Not necessarily the best players, but the ones you've enjoyed working with the most. Or there's a load that people will pick out for different reasons, but just from your
it's really difficult because you enjoy working with most players. The players who've stayed for a little while and have played a number of games, I will have enjoyed working with. People will guess the ones I haven't because they won't have played very many games. And we've been fortunate and had really good groups of players. You know, it's a different squad this year from last year, but we've had some really good players within those. I mean, if you look at people like Freddie Sass, he's a dream to manage because all he wanted to do is get better. Really enjoyed seeing Bailey's journey. You know, if you look at where he's gone from and to, you know, he was a young kid with his kind of head all over the place. Now he's absolutely committed to being the best footballer he can be, and watching that maturity has been nice. You know, look at the current dressing room. You've got Mark Lees, Brewster, Reece Webb Foster, just really good leaders. You know, really good leaders in the dressing room. Mason, bit of magic, but then you go back and you got Kane Hickman running 10-15k a game and winning every tackle and flying through people. Nicky Clee was great to work, great to manage. You know, him and Shane came in and offered something very different. And some of the stuff Nicky could do with a football was scary. But again, a great influence around young players. So I'm sure I've missed a bunch of players off there. But I've been fortunate in that we've generally got recruitment right. I think more often than not we've got recruitment right in terms of the type of people we've brought in, the type of players we've brought in. And most times it's been a pleasure to turn up, and that's one of the things that makes managing so hard. Is every week you turn up and you've got 16, 17 blokes that you like, that you respect, who've worked hard, that you've brought to the club, and you've got to let, you know, a couple of them know they're not in the squad, and 5 of them know they're not starting, and that's not a nice part of the job, and you know, it's certainly a part I won't miss. It's horrible when you're kind of working up to those calls on a Friday before you put the squad out, and then you're kind of planning all the different permutations on a Saturday morning as you're putting together your squad and planning your conversations, knowing that people are going to disappoint, knowing that people like to have the girlfriends and the parents and whatever in the crowd coming to watch them, and they might not get a kick of the ball, and it's that sort of thing that people probably don't think about when they think about what it's like as a manager. It's not great because, you know, they are people you like and respect.
And you just said you've got the backing of 17 players all the time. You know, we've not had that problem at the club in your time here. You've had the backing of the coaching staff, and you've had a good set of coaching staff. But one thing that's been ever present has been supporters. And you know, we've seen crowds grow significantly in your time here. Some of it a result of good football, some of it a result of good results. But it's been an enjoyable experience for you probably to watch the crowds grow. But I guess that, you know, without singling individuals out, there's a group who go every week. The away days group go every week. You know, I've seen us losing 5-0 away and they're still singing your name. So I guess it must be a twinge of sadness to say goodbye to them, but also a nice feeling to have had them with you for the last 5 years of your journey.
Yeah, you focus on the positives. You know, I said it before. It's difficult when you've got a packed park end singing your name, or you wanted the ground to the hole in the ground to open up and disappear into when you're getting thumped away from home, and they're still singing, they're still positive, and they come and find you after the game and, you know, tell you how they'll always be there, and the supporters, and that's what they're for. I remember, you know, Clitheroe, and we were absolutely battered, and how positive they were after that game. They make it possible. You know, they make it possible in every way. Without support, you're not a football club. But in terms of, you know, motivating you to get out of bed in the morning and come and do it when times are tough, and there've been some tough times, we've been on tough runs, and knowing that you've got that support makes it so much easier. So it would be nice actually to come to a game, get a pint, and go and stand in the park end with them and see the game from a different perspective, and might get some insight into what they were really saying about me.
I would say it's definitely been positive, definitely. I guess you've touched on a lot of things that you'll miss about the game. What is it that you'll miss the most about being in and around football?
So I noticed this when I stopped playing. So I retired playing at 27 at a serious level, and went back in my 30s back into amateur football. And the reason I did that was I kind of missed the dressing room. It's the one thing that you find difficult to replace. You can replace most other things. There are other pastimes, other hobbies you can do that you can fill your time with and can provide challenge, you can provide intellectual stimulation, can provide most of what what you can get from football. But that dressing room, that camaraderie, that's something that's pretty tough to replace. And I suspect come maybe not pre-season, but maybe a little bit later, and I think that's when I'll be kind of missing a little bit of that, and looking for something to replace that a little bit, because that was the toughest thing to replace when I stopped playing. I mean, unfortunately, I replaced training with eating. That didn't go too well, so I probably won't go that way this time. But no, it's always the people.
Good. I guess we said supporters are a big thing, but one of the sort of things that's been impressive about the time that you've been here, and it's quite an easy thing to say for a lot of people, but we have a small group of volunteers. We're not a big group of volunteers at this football club. We don't have this huge backing of loads of people, but the relationships that you've built with those volunteers, when you think about people like Steve Tague, Paul Robinson, Graham and Mike who work on the pitch, and the stewards and everyone else in between, you've built some really strong relationships with people, and it's been, as much as it's been a journey of you taking the club forward, it feels like everyone's been on that journey with you at the same time.
It's felt like that. It's felt like everybody's been pulling in the same direction. I mean, the hours that volunteers put in for free, for the love of the club, is phenomenal. Hat goes off to them. And without them, without the hours they put in on the pitch, painting, building the change rooms that we wanted to raise standards. When I've been talking about things and how can we drive the club forward, inevitably you met with somebody who'll kind of make it happen. Steve Tague's a huge part of that, but there were plenty of others. Like you said, Mike Graham and Robbie on the pitch, Topsy doing a bit of everything all around the place. The stuff you come along and there's just a shed appeared in the car park, or 10 new signs up, and all this stuff appears just to happen by magic, and it's not. It's the countless hours that those guys are putting. But as you say, they've all been on that journey with us, and I think I would like to think we've repaid them with some pretty magical moments. We touched on quite a few of the away days moments in particular, and many of them have been there to share in those. And it's good to see them with a smile on their face and getting enjoyment out of the club that they dedicate so much of their life to.
You've even got your dad volunteering as well.
Yeah, my dad's volunteering. He's I'll need to let him know that he can't step down. He's still got to carry on. 193 games. That's what, if I'm right, I think I'm right. 193 Sounds
games is what
right.
you'll finish on, which will put you comfortably in the top 10 managers. I think you're about 6 or 7, somewhere around there. You've got to be pleased with sort of, again, longevity is a big thing in football. It's not a big thing in non-league football, and having that sort of longevity at a club, to say a club with over 100 years history that you'll sit there with 193 games, that's got to be
really pleased. It's a shame I couldn't get to 200. COVID robbed me of 30 games or something in that first season. So it's a shame I'm not going to get to 200. I had arbitrarily set a target in my head of 250, and then that kind of came thinking much more probably the end of next season when I stepped away, which wouldn't have quite got me there, but would have probably maybe pushed me into the top 5. But it all started to become just an academic number. It was just a made up target for no reason. And actually when I spent some time over the past probably 6 weeks really thinking about what was important to me and what was important to the club and what was the right thing for me, for the club, for the players, for the coaching team, I reached the decision was that it wasn't to aim for these arbitrary numbers. It was to make sure that I went out when I was on a high, that I was able to go out at a time when I was committed, when I felt we could we were in a good place, and to hand the reins on to somebody in a really positive manner, so that they can kick on and build on what I've achieved. I talked about this previously, and probably one of the first games about building on the shoulder of giants. And you look at the history that Mosley's got, and I'm so proud to now be part of that history. Yeah. But I'm just one small piece in this huge club, and what I'd want nothing more than is somebody to come in, take from me and kick it onto the next level. And I think that's the right time. I think my energy and enthusiasm for it has waned, and I think it's time to find somebody who's got that some new ideas, some new energy, and I think that's what's needed just to move things on. Everything has a shelf life, and this is mine. And
you finish Hanley Town away. Is 8 games? I think it's 8 games, 7 games, 8 games left.
8 games, 7 weeks.
So, what's your thought process then? I guess is my last question really is, where Is it a question of savouring every moment for the last 8 games, 7 weeks, or is it you're looking at that and that's it? Where are you at in terms of
So I want to give everything. I want to give it as good a go as I can. I'd love nothing more to put together 7 or 8 wins out of these last few games and push into the playoffs. I want to give it everything I possibly can. I think we've left ourselves a mountain to climb, but let's throw ourselves at it. And I'm going to do the same, and the players will buy into that. Players we told tonight, and you know, they're out there now training. So I don't think there's a problem from the playing side of things. I'm going to savour it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy the State of the Bridge game, especially if we get the 3 points. That'll be a nice way to end it. Hanley away, interesting one to go out on, but nice really to spend it probably some of the away days, a lot who've kind of followed us through thick and thin over the past 5 years. And then I'm just looking forward to a break and you know, I'll reflect in the summer. I've got a fly away to America pretty shortly after the end of the season, so I'll reflect probably while I'm over there, and I've got holidays booked in the autumn, which is something I've not been able to do. I've got that booked in already, so yeah, looking forward to just experience a few different things, but certainly I want to be able to look back fondly on my entire time, and that includes this last 7 or 8 weeks.
And not being able to not having the need to pick up the phone and contact a player in the summer while you're on a family holiday.
Yeah, trying to negotiate contracts and with the time difference and all that. Yeah, it will be interesting to do that, but you know, it's important that when you spend family time with family, and you know, Jaden's 16, he's at that age where actually it's good to get some really good time then before he moves off and goes off to university. So you know, lots of different factors playing into this, but I'm confident it's the right decision for me.
That's great. I guess probably on behalf of everyone, football fans, players, the board, it's been a pleasure working with you. It's been a great experience, so thank you.
You're very welcome, and I won't be a stranger.
Good.